You were injured while serving in Afghanistan. I think you suffered PTSD as a result. I'm just wondering what this last week has done to that.
Yeah, so you keep having mixed feelings about it. Like 1 minute you feel like you're all right about it, and then the next, it's like almost a daily thing. You sort of feel quite sort of heartbroken and sort of feelings that you don't really know how to sort of deal with. Like as a soldier, you're sort of bred in a way to win, and everyone knew the Taliban would eventually sort of try and come back and stuff like that. But to sort of see it actually happen and stuff like that, it's quite a tough pill to sort of swallow.
Craig, good morning. Just tell us about your experience in Afghanistan and how difficult it was.
So I fought in Afghanistan in the summer of 2009, which was sort of known as sort of like the sort of worst fighting years. But with that, whilst you were fighting, like 1 minute you'd walk through a sort of farmer's field, meeting like children playing, just people going around their daily lives, and then you'd knock into a compound and all hell would break loose. So it was a never changing situation. 1 minute it was sort of semi friendly, the next it was violent beyond belief, and it's sort of hard to sort of like put into words, but just them moments where there was that sort of normal stuff and you were seeing the children play or you were speaking to the locals, it was like calm. It was they were like the most hospitable people you could ever sort of come across. Like they looked after us. Afghanistan's the only place in the world where I've ever been where if there's no electricity running, but you pay someone $20, they'll come back 45 minutes later with a crate of Coca-Cola.
A lot of soldiers talk about that feeling of guilt as a result of this, that never really goes away. And I'm just wondering if that guilt is now mixed with a sense of anger at what many regard as the pointlessness of it now.
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt there. I think the guilt for me comes from sort of my own actions whilst I was deployed and stuff like that. And also like the guilt comes from sort of surviving Afghan. That's the big bit of guilt for me, it is that. But sort of the anger now when you see it sort of go back, it's more of a disappointment, and eventually you sort of to sort of save yourself from going crazy or off the rails. Eventually, we're probably going to have to sit down with ourselves and sort of really think about some positive of it. Like on every single soldier's tour, there probably would have been points where they realised why they were there, and I think it's sort of important that the person who fought there tries to think about that sort of reason, because at the minute, I know at the minute it's like a smoke screen. You can't sort of see through any of the bad that's going on at the minute, and it's all you refer to. And it is quite a painful thing. The only way I can describe it is if like it's like heartbreak, but on the craziest of scales.
And Craig, we're obviously seeing so many pictures in the media of the troops, US troops, British troops, helping out in these chaotic scenes. Very, very difficult. I mean, on the front pages today, there is a young corporal, I think, who is cradling a little girl. You must have a lot of empathy for these guys and girls and what they're doing out there and how difficult it really is at this time.
Yeah, massively. It's certainly a job I sort of don't envy them for doing it, but just on so many different levels. There's going to be people there that probably fought on the earliest sort of tours of Afghans, so the fighting sort of tours, and they're probably going to be sat there less than a metre away from the Taliban, and that's the whole different level of sort of professionalism you're going to have to show there. And then there's obviously as a fighting force, it's really hard to sort of switch from that mindset of Afghanistan Taliban to actually the scenes that we're seeing in terms of the chaos with the sort of women, the children, and just people trying to escape. And I think that's sort of where the sort of human of the soldier needs to sort of come in, and that's something that you do have. It comes with experience at first. At first, when you join the army, a lot of people don't have that, but eventually, as sort of time goes on and you go away more, it sort of does come in. And I think they're just good. It's a tough job for them right now, and and sort of, I think they're just showing the professionalism of who they are. But I think there's going to be some problems when they sort of relook at what they've just sort of done. I think that's going to be sort of, it might play on their minds for a while.
Yeah.
Craig, to all those armchair generals who are saying this has nothing to do with us, why do we have any responsibility for anyone in Afghanistan? What do you say to them when they're looking at flights arriving in Manchester, Birmingham, wherever it is, with Afghan families whose lives are ruined, who are coming off to try and start a new life? What do you say to people who say, well, it's not our problem?
So for me, it completely is our problem. We lost over 400 people there, and God knows how many since from suicides, in terms of the mental health stuff that faces soldiers. Like, sort of, for me, for example, I lost 10 friends fighting in Afghanistan. I've lost 12 to suicide since. So for me, it is our problem. We need them. We need to do what we can to give someone a better life. Like, no one deserves to suffer the way they will suffer, and that's the big thing. So, I mean, anyone can be an armchair general, but no one's walking the streets of Afghan when we were at war with them. So.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.